Murder conviction overturned.
This was a complicated case.
A Windsor man to be retried for frenzied attack on his girlfriend. Counterfeit cash in the county.
But you never know until you actually run into something like that, so we do have to be aware of it.
Essex OPP and the BIA warn the public to be on alert. And future development at WD Low.
Think of the amount of housing we can get on that 5-acre parcel.
A public survey launches to collect residents' vision for the future of the former school.
CTV News with Stefanie Masotti.
Good evening and thank you for joining us both on TV and radio. We begin with an update from the courts. A local murder conviction has been overturned by the Court of Appeal of Ontario. Michelle Molesky joining me now with our top story tonight. Michelle.
Stefanie, this case goes back to 2016 with the death of Leslie Waterworth at the hands of her boyfriend. A Windsor jury found John Pierre guilty of second-degree murder, but now a new jury will need to be reselected and the case heard all over again because the Court of Appeal says the judge made a mistake. John Pierre is getting a new trial. Now 55 years old, Pierre was convicted of second-degree murder in 2018 and sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 15 years. Pierre admitted to killing his girlfriend, 42-year-old Leslie Waterworth, in November 2016.
We got through it.
Yeah, we did.
And now he's going to pay.
Waterworth's family sat through every day of the 3-week trial in September 2018.
This was a complicated case factually and a difficult issue to decide.
The defense argued a long history of mental health issues, fueled by 3 days of binge drinking and drug consumption, which left his client with what is described as, quote, disordered thinking. The jury learned after the murder, Pierre acted erratically, going to a beer store, 2 restaurants, and the casino, wearing a business suit over his blood-soaked overalls. The Crown, on the other hand, argued that was the sign of a person trying to avoid responsibility, noting Pierre did not call for help and he didn't appear intoxicated or mentally unstable in any security camera footage. His appellate lawyers successfully argued, however, it was Justice Renee Pomerantz's charge to the jury where a mistake was made. The Court of Appeal has agreed the jurors weren't properly instructed to not put too much weight on that post-offense conduct over all the other evidence at trial. Pierre will remain behind bars while a new trial is scheduled in Windsor. Crown Attorney Eric Costeris declined to comment on the successful appeal. Defense lawyer Ken Marley was not part of the appellate arguments, but he told me today he agrees with the court's reasoning. As for the Waterworth family, I reached out to a family member today, but they have respectfully declined to comment at this time. Stefanie?
Okay, Michelle Molesky with our top story tonight. Thank you for this, Michelle. In other news, Windsor police are searching for a suspect after 2 fires were deliberately set along a railway early Saturday morning. Officers responded to the area of South Pacific and Parent Avenues around 6 a.m., where they found separate blazes along the tracks. No one was hurt, and fire crews quickly put out the flames. Surveillance footage captured a suspect described as a white man in his 30s, wearing a black T-shirt, red shorts, a red hat, and a white towel over his head. Anyone with information is asked to contact Windsor Police. An investigation into 2 Chatham-Kent councillors over comments about the proposed CK Hub project has wrapped up. One cleared of wrongdoing and the other found in violation of the council's code of conduct. In December 2024 and March of 2025, 2 complaints were filed against Chatham councillors. The complaints accuse them of misusing their positions, spreading false information, and undermining municipal staff. After an investigation, the Integrity Commissioner found that Rhonda Jubenville did not break any rules. Her comments about construction options and the proposed CK Hub, a potential replacement for the Civic Centre, were were within Council's code of conduct. However, the commissioner found that Councillor Allison's story did break the code in two ways. First, she made false statements suggesting the CK Hub team ignored accessibility standards, and she linked the move to the old Sears Mall location with a loss of municipal services, which wasn't accurate. As a result, the commissioner is recommending a reprimand for Story for the first complaint and a 10-day pay suspension for the second. No penalties were recommended for Jubenville. Council is expected to make a final decision at their next meeting on August 25th. A sigh of relief with a tentative deal in place between Air Canada and the union representing 10,000 flight attendants. The deal still has to be ratified, but after days of disruptions and cancellations, the planes will be flying again tonight. And as Heather Wright reports, it will be days before all aircraft are airborne.
Lines begin forming inside Terminal 1 at Toronto's Pearson Airport this afternoon, with Air Canada flights slowly returning to the air.
What's this process been like for you?
Hell.
The airline has warned getting back to normal could take 7 to 10 days, and many passengers are still stuck in limbo.
Getting bits and pieces. They don't tend to know what's going on themselves.
After 3 days on the picket line, CUPE, the union representing the roughly 10,000 Air Canada flight attendants, announced early this morning it had reached a deal with the airline. Full details of the agreement haven't been released, but Air Canada says its flight attendants will not only be the best paid in the country, they will also be compensated for pre- and post-flight work. With the deal now reached, the airline turns its attention to repairing its reputation.
We're deeply apologetic for what's going on. We understand the impact, the profound impact that this has had. We're going to do everything possible to get people home as quickly as we can.
Not paying flight attendants for on-the-ground work has been a common practice within the airline industry. And by changing its policy, experts expect other unions to ask for a similar deal in the future.
This will change the dynamics. This will eventually end up costing consumers more to fly because it increases the airline or the air carriers' costs of doing business. So we'll end up paying for this.
Prime Minister Mark Carney weighed in on the deal on social media, writing, "It is my hope that this will ensure flight attendants are compensated fairly at all times, while ending disruption for hundreds of thousands of Canadian families, workers and visitors to Canada." The strike has shone a light on the issue of unpaid work, with the Federal Jobs Department saying today its probe into these allegations will take between 6 and 8 weeks.
Air Canada says it hopes to get between 15% and 20% of its flights in the air today as it ramps up service. Because most of its fleet had to be returned to domestic airports due to the strike, every plane has to undergo engine and safety checks before it's cleared to fly. Heather Wright, CTV News, Mississauga, Ontario.
The ordeal is not over yet for stranded passengers and those who paid out of pocket for flights on other carriers. Now, what are their options? What does travel insurance cover? Does credit card protection compensate for money lost? CTV's Adrian Gabriel with the answers.
The Kumar family were excited for a European adventure. Just not like this.
There's lots of points of frustration.
The Toronto family arrived in Europe on August 3rd. The return flight this past Sunday was cancelled. At the time, Air Canada said it was unable to book them on a return flight home on a different airline.
You can get a refund or you can get a credit.
Carla Kumar even found 4 tickets home this Wednesday on Delta and presented that as an option for Air Canada to book for the family in accordance with Transportation Canada regulations. Air Canada refused to purchase the tickets.
How has it gotten to the point where we just completely have no accountability for passenger rights in Canada?
The Kumars bought 3 of their 4 tickets using their personal credit card, so they called their provider to see what type of insurance they might be entitled to. That's when they learned their specific coverage on their card didn't include this type of labor stoppage.
It has to do with the classification of how this sort of labor dispute came about.
It does change from card to card, but at best, it has a maximum attached to it. So maybe $2,500 for trip cancellation and $1,500 for trip interruption. Needless to say, not going to be enough.
Insurance specialists say anytime a portion of your trip is non-refundable, like many cruise deals, it's wise to purchase insurance from a provider, but you need to ask the right questions.
This new world we live in now, though, has so many other things: weather, government advisories, labor disruptions. They all add up that we never used to really see or incur.
Depending where you are in the world, local laws may actually offer you additional protection. If you're a Canadian in Europe stranded by Air Canada, well, the airline has to pony up not just for a new ticket, but also for your food and hotel expenses. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News.
CUPE members went against Section 107. Later in this show, we'll look at what that means for strikes moving forward. And could Canada Post consider defying the order in the future? CTV meteorologist Julie Atchison joins us now for our first look at the weather. And Julie, more wet weather expected this evening and overnight.
Yeah, well, the main rain moving out, Stefanie. We've had some heavy rainfall early in the day across Essex counties. There's still some very light rainfall in through lower Michigan, and we'll see some light drizzle as we push through the evening. So a bit of a lull in the activity on the hour, some showers moving back in, but the heavier rain will be moving on out. So overcast conditions expected. Temperature as we head through the evening will dip down to about 23 degrees. The probability of showers staying on the higher end until about midnight, and then we drop down to about a 30% chance. So temperatures have been creeping up through the day today, but I expected us to get into the warm sector much earlier. We are seeing that humidity creep back in once again, so that warm front has been waving its way through. It's been staying a bit further south, but it's just starting to come up just a bit right now, so feeling the moisture increase. Coming up, I'll take you through the extended forecast. We have some sunshine on the way Thursday, but a little bit of drizzle to get through tomorrow. I'll have that forecast in just a few minutes.
A warning from OPP tonight as counterfeit cash begins to turn up in the county. 2 retail outlets received bogus bills. Bob Bellachico joins us tonight for what exactly to look out for.
Well, Stefanie, have a look. Here is a fake $20 bill. Someone tried to use this at AB Bike Repair and board games here in Essex. Now, this isn't the fake 20 that was used in yesterday's incident, but OPP are warning businesses here in town and also in the region.
We're seeing an increase of counterfeit money being passed as legitimate currency.
OPP is warning the public about fake money circulating in the region. They confirmed 2 incidents Monday, one in Essex and the other in Leamington, where bogus bills were used to pay.
They have it in their possession and they're trying to offload it.
OPP Constable Stephen Duguay warns anyone who buys items through Marketplace should be wary of cash they receive.
There's tips on the Bank of Canada website that will give you what the security features are on our bills. We have some of the safest currency in the world.
Some of those tips include running your fingers over it to feel raised ink and braille. Look for a small frosted maple leaf over the large numerical value on the bill, and the serial numbers should not duplicate.
I hope I didn't get any.
The Essex BIA sent a warning to businesses, which got the attention of owners like Karen Van Imp, owner of Dom and Aaliyah's Pajamas.
My daughter emailed me the thing from Facebook showing me that, and I was just looking at it at the same time. I thought, oh no, I better start checking this money out, but I'm not really sure.
Well, we really don't deal with too much cash, and I wouldn't really want it to come through my store either.
So you'd be more aware of it now?
Yes, definitely.
You never know until you actually run into something like that, so we do have to be aware of it for sure.
Kaya Cottingham, manager of Two Waves in Essex, asked her staff if they could tell the difference between a fake and real dollar bill.
Everybody seemed to know, but I did do a run-through of like kind of the different feelings on the cash and then just what to look for.
OPP says it's okay to refuse the money, but don't fall for the guilt trip that may follow. Allow the person to leave, then
report it to police immediately and gather as much information, make, model of a vehicle, license plate, but do so you don't put yourself in harm's way as well.
OPP can't say if the bills were produced locally or by a syndicate. Their investigation continues, but they do want business owners and shoppers alike to be aware and also vigilant. Stefanie?
Okay, Bob Bellachico, thank you for this. At the same time, St. Clair College says all venues and events for St. Athletics will be cashless starting immediately. The college says the time is right and officials feel comfortable moving to a cashless system. Only cards and contactless payments will be accepted for the 2025-26 varsity season. They say this move will help shorten lines, create a more efficient customer service, and will keep cash from moving through a lot of different hands. So here Here is our question of the day. Do you still use cash? Go to our website to cast your vote, ctvnewswindsor.ca. Yesterday, we asked who you side with in the Air Canada labor dispute. Out of almost 700 votes, 75% support the flight attendants, 13% are backing Air Canada, and the remaining 12% are not sure. Transit Windsor announced it is expanding its service, adding more than 20,000 additional hours starting this September. But one local advocacy group says some neighborhoods are still waiting for long-promised improvements. Chris Campbell looks into this.
Transit Windsor is promising major improvements, adding more than 20,000 additional hours. Riders will see buses on the roads longer, more frequently, and on brand new routes.
Riders are going to see expanded networks. They're going to see new routes added to our currently existing system. We are going to be adding more hours to our Sunday service. And I think what riders are going to be most excited about is that we are reducing wait times.
At today's third open house on the matter, some residents welcome the added hours, saying it could make late-night travel easier.
The bus does work well where it's like in the high-density areas, but if you're just a bit off the track, you know, it's late. Sometimes it doesn't work. Like the bus doesn't show up.
I take the bus all the time, and this was very helpful to know what changes there are.
But advocacy group Activate Transit Windsor Essex says not all neighborhoods are seeing improvements. They point out that upgrades promised in the 2023 budget for Forest Glade and East Riverside still haven't materialized.
Definitely those East End improvements are something that riders have been looking for a really long time, and they haven't seen any updates on them.
The group says while the new hours are a step forward, council needs to provide clear reporting on the city's transit master plan so riders know when all promised improvements will arrive.
Because right now, everything's very fragmented, and it's been since 2019 we haven't had any update. That's 6 years of essentially silence on what progress has been made towards the transit master plan.
Some of those changes have not been implemented yet because we're waiting for the East End terminal to be built.
Another open house is scheduled for Wednesday at the downtown transit terminal. The new service hours, expanded coverage, and changes to routes are scheduled to take effect on August 31st. At the same time, the tunnel bus and school extras will stop running. Officials say more enhancements will be announced after the new East End terminal is built.
Whether you're a new rider for the first time coming this fall, or whether you're an existing rider, to please spend some time on our website. We have all the information on there.
Chris Campbell, CTV News.
Rebuilding history still to come on Windsor's News Leader. A century-old school in Windsor could soon be reborn, and your voice could shape what comes next. Building lag later. Home building is on the rise in Canada, but a national agency says it's still falling short of demand. And tomorrow, a new start for Chatham's homeless population. Transitional cabins open the doors to hope and housing. That's tomorrow at 6 on CTV News. Federal Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has secured his return to Parliament. Poilievre won a seat in the Alberta riding of Battle River Crowfoot last night.
So that we can once again restore a country that is strong, self-reliant, and sovereign. That is the country we're in this for. That is why we stay united. That is why we go forward. May God keep our land glorious and free. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Poilievre was widely expected to win in the riding, which is considered one of the safest Conservative seats in the country. With the victory, the Conservative leader will be back in the House of Commons in time for the fall session. It's a piece of Windsor's history, but what comes next could reshape the neighborhood. The old W.D. Lowe House building has been part of the city's landscape for more than a century. And after sitting empty for years, the city is asking for your ideas on its future as it targets the site for a major housing development. That's where we find CTV's Sanjay Maru tonight. So, Sanjay, we do understand that the city has launched a public survey to basically gather ideas from the public.
Well, the survey launched just this morning, and it asks about things like building height, design, parking, and ways to reuse this historic school while adding new homes onto the former schoolyard, something that residents in this area have mixed reactions about. For more than 2 decades, the old W.D. Lowe Secondary School has stood mostly vacant. Now the city is asking what its next chapter should look like.
We absolutely need housing, and it's great for the neighborhood, I think, if we can keep it a park and a great place to enjoy the area as well.
W.D. Lowe High School began as Walkerville Technical School in the 1920s. It grew into a premier technical vocational school before closing its doors in 2000. The 2-hectare site has now been earmarked for housing.
They don't build schools like that anymore, so the facade is something worth protecting. And in terms of heritage, that's what we're primarily concerned about as a developer who will actually protect the facade, but redevelop the rest of the 5 acres. And think of the amount of housing we can get on that 5-acre parcel.
Some in the neighborhood, however, oppose the idea, arguing the school should return to its roots.
That was the best trade school in Ontario. Government's crying about trades. Open that back up as a trade school. Get the kids in there, learn everything. That's what they need to do with that school.
And there's also concern about new construction altering the area.
No, we don't need 3-story here. This is also 1.5 dwellings here. It's going to be more crime, more garbage.
City officials say the goal is to add homes without paving over farmland near transit, parks, and existing businesses. But exactly what these homes look like will depend on public feedback.
Housing is a great opportunity if it can be used for any kind of training purposes. I have seen the Windsor Police using it for training. Anything that anyone in the community can offer for ideas would be, I think, greatly appreciated.
The online survey is open until September 16th. And once that survey wraps up, the city will issue an expression of interest on ways to redevelop this former school site, one of 6 properties identified by the city's Housing Solutions Made for Windsor strategy. You can find a link to that public survey on our website, ctvnewswindsor.ca. Stefanie.
Okay, thank you, Sanjay. Now, not long after flight attendants went out on strike, Ottawa ordered them back to work under Section 107 of the Canada Labour Code. It's a controversial measure that gives the government the power to end work stoppages. It didn't go over well, the union refusing to comply. CTV's Rachel Aiello now on what that defiance could mean for future labour disruptions.
The federal government moving so swiftly to try and force flight attendants back to work, and Air Canada stating it expected that move to be enforced, has riled up the organized labor movement, which is already predicting the way this dispute played out will be precedent-setting.
They were using this as a crutch, and over the weekend, the flight attendants made sure that that crutch snapped.
Workers' unions say they've been emboldened by the last 24 hours and flight attendants' ability to get a deal at the table after defying a federal arbitration order.
I very strongly hope that the message that this sends to employers and to our federal government is stay out of interference in collective bargaining and do not expect government to ride to your rescue.
The Liberal government has invoked Section 107 of the Canada Labour Code multiple times, including in recent port and rail strikes. But some Labour leaders hope the Air Canada instance was their last.
The message to parliamentarians is that this section of the Canada Labour Code has got to go.
Asked today if she was concerned that how this strike played out has laid the groundwork for Section 107 to no longer be a viable tool in future disputes, Jobs Minister Patty Hajdu's office wouldn't say.
I think what is going to happen over the next little while is Section 107 of the Canada Labour Code that some people argue has been abused in recent years by the federal government, is maybe hit a wall, and it's maybe there's going to be the brakes put on it. Because the only power that directive has is when workers comply.
Flight attendants are denying your back to work order. The government is also being accused of misreading the public mood.
Their decision to force flight attendants back to work so quickly actually inflamed the issue. It forced them to defy orders of government. It sort of really went against what I think the Carney brand is built on. And to many Canadians, that decision didn't really feel right.
The question is now whether other unions would react similarly if talks break down. And with Canada Post heading back to the bargaining table in its protracted dispute with postal workers, we could soon get that answer. Rachel Yellow, CTV News, Ottawa.
Inflation cooled in July thanks largely to relief at the gas pumps, but grocery and shelter costs were accelerating last month. The annual rate of inflation fell to 1.7% in July, down from 1.9% in June. The reading was 1/10 of a percentage point below most economists' expectations. Gas prices were down 0.7% on a monthly basis. But inflation on food from the grocery store accelerated to 3.4% annually in July, up from 2.8% in June. The Bank of Canada will be looking at the numbers closely as it prepares for its next interest rate decision on September 17th. Canada's main stock index finished lower today. In Toronto, the TSX lost 99 points. In New York, the Dow gained 10, but the Nasdaq fell 315. The Canadian dollar dropped almost a quarter cent today. On commodity markets, gold fell $19.30 an ounce and oil lost 93 cents a barrel.
He's quite a smart guy with a lot of innermost thoughts to convey.
Silent no more. Coming up, a dad takes tech into his own hand, teaming up with engineers to help his nonverbal son finally be heard.
Rain continues through the evening and a risk of a thunderstorm, but as we head into tomorrow, the main rain moves out and we're back to sunshine on Thursday. Thanks, Donald, for this photo taken over Lake St. Clair. He took this back in June. It finally made its way to our inbox here at CTV Windsor. But a beautiful photo to share. Conditions across our region, not the best for an outdoor walk tonight, but improving as we head toward the weekend. And temperatures on the comfortable side. Stay with us.
Discussion here at Windsor City Hall.
Windsor's top stories.
A major project is about to get underway.
Breaking news alerts.
Severe weather is a possibility.
And watch live.
Good evening and thank you for joining us.
Download the CTV News app.
A misty and rainy day out there. Julie joins me again for an extended look at the weather. Julie.
Thanks so much, Stefanie. Our high today on the cooler side of what's normal for this time of year, hitting 24 degrees and 17 is where we dropped down to last night. Normally we're at about 26, but a nice break in terms of rainfall. We need it, so it was a welcomed rain across the southern Ontario. Over the next couple of hours, just overcast conditions. There's a few showers moving through southern lower Michigan right now, so we could see some light rainfall materialize, and as we push past about 8 o'clock, drizzle is expected overnight. So the main rain is moving off to the east associated with that area of low pressure. So this warm front's been waving its way through today. I was expecting to get right into that warm sector earlier, but that did not happen. The warm front just staying off to the south. So I was expecting the warm front to lift northward, and that puts us in that instability and warming temperatures. But through the day today, that warm front just hung out. So that's why we picked up a little bit more in the way of measurable rainfall. High pressure starting to build in through the overnight and into tomorrow. Quickly, I wanted to show you the tropics and our tropical storm that formed into a hurricane. This is Hurricane Erin. It will affect the Maritimes over the weekend. It's a Category 2 storm, but it is giant, and the massive waves associated with it will affect coastal areas. It will be downgraded to a Cat 1 by Sunday as it moves out further into the Atlantic, but you can see as it brushes by Halifax, will be impacted with rip currents, of course, and some very strong surf. Back here at home, conditions across the country and in southern Ontario on the cooler side of what's normal today, but out west heating up across parts of the southern prairies. Now let's take a look at the next 36 hours. So tomorrow, overcast with some light drizzle. Not expecting the day to be a washout, so just one of those days where it'll be mainly cloudy. In the afternoon, we could see a few peaks of sunshine. And as we head into Wednesday night, we will go partly cloudy. By Thursday, we're back into sunshine and looking beautiful. So overnight, a bit milder, 18 to 19 degrees across Essex County. Overcast conditions, light drizzle through the day tomorrow. Winds will kick up out of the northeast, and we could see a few gusts upwards of 40 kilometers per hour. The forecast high as we head into the afternoon, 25. Our Siles Heating and Cooling, a mix of sun and cloud on Thursday, Friday sunshine. The weekend, Saturday and Sunday, both a mix of sun and cloud. Notice these low probabilities. So I left the rain off when it's 30%. I normally don't put the rain on the forecast model or on your icons just because it looks like then it will rain all day. I'm not expecting that. We could see a few showers, especially as the temperature drops from 29 to 25 from Saturday to Sunday. So that's the cold front coming through. The temperature will start to cool off next week. I think people are going to be talking about fall-like feel, 20 to 22 degrees, so a cool down coming in as we head toward Labor Day. So your day tomorrow, overcast, chance of some very light drizzle through the afternoon, clearing conditions by Wednesday night, and Thursday we are back to the sun. Stefanie?
Lifetime, brought to you by Safeguard Medical Alert Systems.
Close to a third of people on the autism spectrum are nonverbal. A Calgary father's teenage son is one of them, and he was frustrated that technology isn't being used in a viable way to help his son communicate. So he worked with the Schulich School of Engineering on a solution. CTV's Kevin Fleming reports.
He's watching a video of a participant using a virtual headset to type out words from letters seen in a digital world. Diwakar Krishnamurtha is a professor at the Schulich School of Engineering and came up with the system.
My son is non-speaking, when he was diagnosed, we were given the doom and gloom dire scenario. But actually, we discovered that he's quite a smart guy with a lot of innermost thoughts to convey.
It's those thoughts that Krishnamurtha wants to unlock for his son and other families dealing with similar situations. Manaf Abu Farf says he spent thousands of dollars on speech therapists for his 16-year-old daughter with poor results. And when asked how it feels to communicate now, she said she was trapped inside for 16 years.
So actually, for us, we are discovering our daughter. We are having our daughter for the first time. We are seeing our daughter for the first time. That's a huge turnover for us as a family and for Jenna as a person.
Travis Dow has traveled the country working with nonverbal participants for the project and says the system can include a virtual therapist to help them communicate successfully.
If you're dealing with hardware, it's, you get it as is, you buy it in the store, you make it yourself, whatever the case is. But with software, we can change so much. We can really, make it bespoke to each individual person. And that's, that can be really huge for these people.
Now Abu Farf says the world is opening up for his daughter, and Jana likes it.
What does that mean for you using this technology? She said it opens doors for me. And when we asked her which doors you are talking about, she said the door of university. She is dreaming to go to a university. And we asked her, what do you like? And she said, I like maths.
Kevin Fleming, CTV News, Calgary.
Ontario doctors are negotiating with the provincial government right now, trying to get so-called good faith billing restored. That involves patients who are eligible for OHIP but don't have a valid card. Pauline Chan reports.
I'm thinking about patients who are unhoused, patients with low socioeconomic status, migrant workers, and that does contribute a significant proportion of patients that we see in the emergency department every night.
Dr. Bernard Ho works at a downtown hospital and says they treat patients regardless of whether they present an OHIP card or not. But physicians can't bill for these cases. The Ontario Medical Association says these good faith patients include newborns.
If for any reason there's any kind of a delay with parents registering their newborn within a certain number of days after they're born, their OHIP number becomes ineligible or non-valid.
Those whose cards have lapsed.
This could be for some of our really vulnerable populations, those experiencing mental health issues, those who are experiencing homelessness. You do require an address to actually get your OHIP updated.
And sometimes unconscious patients without ID, like from a bad accident.
So physicians, provide healthcare in good faith. And so we're just asking for the remuneration to also pair with this.
Ontario used to have a system for good faith billing back in 1998. It was cut and brought back for a short time during the pandemic.
We are currently awaiting for the arbitrator to present their final award, and that would be hopefully sometime this fall.
Dr. Ho says good faith cases aren't counted by the ministry when determining funding for hospitals.
It affects the funding that our ERs get from the ministry, because part of the funding is tied to the volume of patients that we see.
He'd like to see these cases included.
We may get more physician hours of funding, which means that we might be able to fund one extra physician to staff the ER every day.
And he says that would significantly reduce wait times, a benefit to all patients. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
It was about $2 million of stainless pipe. Now it's going to be about $2.5 to $3 million, just for the raw cost.
Costly oversight coming up on Windsor's News Leader, why rising steel prices could leave taxpayers on the hook for major infrastructure projects.
Get ready to rock the runway. Enter today's keyword at ctvwindsor.ca for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Noah Khan at Rock the Runway in London, Friday, September 12th, plus an overnight stay.
Steel industry experts are warning about significant price increases for infrastructure projects stemming from a new tariff put in place by the Canadian government on stainless steel. With more on that, here's CTV's John Musselman.
Pinnacle Stainless Steel is the largest stainless steel distributor in Canada. They don't make it here. It's imported from Taiwan and stored in warehouses like this across the country. At this location in Mississauga, the pipes are cut up, molded, and prepared for use in critical infrastructure projects nationwide.
Water, wastewater, oil, gas, the LNG pipeline, the SMR projects coming up for the OPG power plants, shipbuilding, hospitals, food, beverage, agricultural, farming.
Shane Goff is the company GM. He has warehouses across Canada. He says clients, including municipalities, are facing massive price hikes on stainless steel orders.
I won't say the job, but it was about $2 million of stainless pipe for a plant in Toronto. Now it's going to be about $2.5 to $3 million just for the raw cost. So that's one little project. There's hundreds, thousands of these across Canada.
And Goff says clients and taxpayers, if it's a municipal job, will pick up those extra costs. The issue is related to the Government of Canada implementing tariff rate quotas this summer on imports of steel mill products from non-free trade agreement partners. Quote, this measure will help stabilize the Canadian market and prevent harmful diversion of foreign steel from third countries into Canada while minimizing impacts on Canadian importers and downstream users. But stainless steel is produced on a limited basis in Canada, not enough to meet demand. And Goss says that's why it should be exempt.
I think just about every single client is concerned. A lot of them have taken projects a year ago at lower cost. Now they have to absorb these larger costs.
Industry experts have written both the federal and provincial governments calling for an exemption on stainless steel, which they believe was an oversight when the tariff rate quotas were put in place. John Musselman, CTV News.
Canada's home building is picking up, but not fast enough, according to a national housing agency. Let's go now to PEI, a province punching above its weight, but still struggling through the crunch.
Homes are taking shape across Charlottetown, construction crews working hard. For its size, PEI is building at roughly double the national rate, according to the newest numbers.
We're small, but we're very resilient. We like to get things done.
But like other provinces, the island can't keep up with demand or the pace needed to restore pre-pandemic affordability by 2035, according to the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. In July, Canada's home building was 4% faster than in June, at about 294,000 homes per year. But that's still far from the CMHC's affordability benchmark of 430,000 to 480,000 home starts per year. This home I'm standing in is a work in progress, greenlit well before today. One of the reasons for the building bump is that pre-planned projects like this one are going ahead. But the National Housing Agency says that doesn't reflect current investor appetite. In fact, the CMHC is projecting a slowdown later this year.
We've been in a context where the economy has been quite uncertain.
we've been facing geopolitical uncertainty as well.
While tariffs and higher costs are making homes harder to finance, the Construction Association of PEI's executive director says there are bigger challenges.
Shortage of skilled people will continue to be a problem, in the years to come.
So builders here say they need more help to turn frames into finished homes. Maria Saru, CTV News, Charlottetown.
Do you have a comment or question? We want to hear from you. Text us at 10400. You can also send photos and videos to that number.
This is your CTV Windsor Our Community Calendar. The Tecumseh Corn and Music Festival is back August 22nd to the 24th at McAuliffe Park. Brought to you by the Optimist Club of St. Clair Beach. See you next time on Our Community.
It's time to check in on what's happening now with Melanie Kentner. And Melanie, you've got details for us on a series of impaired driving charges in Essex County.
That's right. OPP have charged 7 drivers after separate incidents over the weekend. 4 people were pulled over and charged on Saturday, and 3 more were arrested on Sunday. All of the drivers are facing various impaired driving charges, had their vehicles impounded for 7 days, and licenses suspended for 90 days. Police say they're catching more drunk drivers due to several factors.
Our officers are out there doing ride checks. We're responding to members of the public who may see a possible impaired driver. They'll call it in. So that's helping us. That's helping us fight this battle that we have right now with impaired driving.
We've got more details on the charges on our website.
And we've also got a story online, Melanie, about a boost for the new Children's Treatment Center of Chatham-Kent.
Yes, the Rotary Club is donating $250,000 for a new playground. It'll be at the new CTC facility on McNaughton Avenue. The playground is designed to reflect the treatment center's dedication to inclusivity and care and aims to be a welcoming, accessible space. And in our social spotlight, here's a little boy with a big imagination. Aw, I love that chainsaw sound effect and the way he's tossing the wood into the pile. Adorable, Stephanie.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm assuming he has a few other sounds that he has perfected, and I'm assuming this is something that's going to continue as he grows older.
Yeah, it's so cute. He's off to a great start.
Okay, thank you, Melanie, and that's what's happening now.
Drilled it out so that it would fit, and with a little bit of help from an adapter, we had that.
She channeled Johnny Cash, went viral, and now the world's listening. Meet Kate Breton's Johnny Cash Girl next.
The latest news to start your day.
Interviews, conversations with the top officials, the difference makers, and personalities in Windsor, Essex.
Only on Windsor, Essex #1 morning show.
It's Mornings with Mike and Meg on AM 800.
Julie joins us again for a final look at the weather.
Forecast as we head into tomorrow, mainly cloudy, the winds out of the northeast, a bit breezy through the afternoon. Thursday, a mix of sun and cloud and 26. We're back up to 29 on Friday under mainly sunny conditions. Our Siles heating and cooling forecast for your weekend, a mix of sun and cloud both days. Daytime highs 25 to 29 degrees and cooling down early next week, a mix of sun and cloud with a high of 22. We will likely see some rainfall Sunday night into Monday as the temperatures drop back off. So mainly cloudy with some light drizzle for your Wednesday. Breezy conditions in the afternoon and back to full sunshine heading into Thursday.
Okay, thank you, Julie. Ricardo, we're talking about a new program that's kicking off.
Yeah, exactly. The Pathway to Potential Neighborhoods program, Stefanie, officially kicked off tonight. Now, that's a program we've told you about previously here on CTV Windsor. It's aimed at building stronger and more resilient neighborhoods. The Downtown Windsor Community Collaborative and the City of Windsor hosted the launch over at Bruce Park Village. We'll take a look at exactly how the initiative plans to reach its aims and how the community stands to benefit. We've got that and much more on the way tonight at 11.
Okay, and we end tonight with a Kate Bretoner who did Johnny Cash proud and became a viral sensation in the process. As CTV's Brianna Foley shows us, the Johnny Cash girl is getting recognition one piece at a time.
Well, I left Kentucky back in 49, went to Detroit working on the assembly line.
But I was like, well,
I'll sing, but if I'm gonna sing, I'm singing Johnny Cash.
Anne Macquarie wanted a quiet night. Instead, she made lots of noise on the internet.
I was on my way home from school. I was with my dad, and my mom called and said she was at the tavern and she wanted us to go and sing karaoke. So I was kind of tired. It was late-ish. And I was like, at first it was like, no, I'm not gonna go. And then we were like, okay, we'll go. We got there and I was just gonna eat and then leave, but she was like, no, you have to sing a song.
We drilled it out so that it would fit, and with a little bit of help from an aimed-after kid.
Her rendition of One Piece at a Time reached farther than she could imagine.
Someone came up to me, 2 people actually, and were like, oh, are you the Johnny Cash girl? I remember like calling my brother who lives away, and I was gonna tell him and he already knew. He was like, yeah, like this is crazy, like. And then we were just like checking in throughout the day, like being like, and now it's at this many. Like it was going up like crazy.
So her brothers had to jump into the ring of fire and make it a family affair.
And that's when we noticed that something was definitely wrong.
Did it with my 2 older brothers, and that was a lot of fun too. And some of the comments were like, oh, when am I gonna catch one of these performances?
As for Anne, she's still shocked she walked the line.
It's definitely cool. I'm really surprised that it happened with that song, because that's not something that I would normally do. So it's pretty funny that that's how it happened, but that's the internet, I guess.
The Johnny Cash Girl has over 800,000 views and counting. The Macquarie family and, of course, Inverness are pushing for 1 million. Brianne Foley, CTV News, Halifax.
Love the song, love the unexpected ending of it, and the fact that the 2 brothers were so jealous that they wanted to take
affair,
part.
You got to get involved. From karaoke to maybe a career, we could see what happens here. But good thing she didn't play Johnny Cash's, 9 Inch Nails cover "Hurt," which is a very sad song. She had everybody in tears, so she picked up an upbeat one. It was good to see that.
Great job. On behalf of our dedicated team here at CTV News Windsor, thank you for watching.
You can find updates, of course, anytime online over at our website. That's at ctvnewswindsor.ca. No Johnny Cash there, unfortunately, but we will see you again tonight at 11 for a late look at local news.
Good night.